What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So we got SaudiBay with us. My apologies, I will mute this. Okay, there we go. Having a little bit of audio issues and video, so you guys get a live stream without getting to see myself or SaudiBay. But nonetheless, SaudiBay, I appreciate you joining.
Thank you for having me, and hello everyone. I hope we have a good earning call today. It's quite important to have a positive outcome out of this today.
Side note, this is SaudiBay. He has a website as well. Analysis, Lucid, Neo, and many others. I'll put this in the description as well, so pop over there and kind of give him a look. So earnings starts in roughly about 4 minutes. SaudiBay, what was your key kind of takeaways so far from their earnings, from what you can see?
Oh, I think they met expectations overall. They tried to, I like that they have addressed somehow the gravity with some statements from the interim CEO. Also, they haven't changed the, guidance for 20,000. So that is good. That's absolutely great. This was my biggest fear, that they will not be able to meet their 20,000 goal. So yeah. What happened? Yeah, so that's good overall.
I think in my case, it just comes off as very safe. There's nothing really crazy that you need to like stop what you're doing and go buy it like right now. And I agree with you. Yeah, there's some good things kind of stated, but at the same time, I don't know. I think analysts are really going to be giving them a hard time for this earnings, which is good. I think any company not really living up to expectation needs to get grilled by analysts and whoever else. So I think they're really going to give Mark a test today, which is good. So we'll find out.
Definitely. That's what I would do, to be honest. Just they didn't give much information in the in whatever statement they brought out this quarter. Mostly came from verbal statements, I think, interviews, such things. So we were like seeking information rather than giving information. A bit of transparency in this matter would be appreciated.
Yeah. And I read through, I didn't see anything on tariffs, so they don't really talk on that. So that's going to be something that they probably get kind of grilled. I know one of the questions that retail is going to ask to management, which is going to be a waste of our time, unfortunately, is about the Nikola facility, if that's going to move up kind of the mid-size. Based on their presentation, it still shows scheduled for late 2026. So we already have the answer to that, unfortunately. So it's going to be a wasted question from retail.
Yeah.
Based on the cash, I think they're going to need another round of dilution, probably end of Q3, I would estimate. One thing that actually I found weird, I think initially at first it was good, the recent note. I thought the recent note was also 1.5% interest rate, not a 5%. I believe in their 8K that they submitted, it showed 5%. That's something that stood out to me.
I mean, it is what it is. It is money needed. So
yeah,
if it's even 10%,
they'll get 10%. But under their EV purchase agreement, so that the 50,000 vehicles, it looks as though they still haven't started. They started collecting and receiving the money, but they haven't actually. Okay, so I have this still going. So you guys get to hear some background music a little bit, and once they start, then I'll mute ourselves. But yeah, so far, not much volume after hours. Rivian's down. AMD's, oh wow.
Hello, and welcome to Lucid's first quarter 2025 earnings conference call. At this time, all participants are on a listen-only mode.
Like price
After the
dip for
speaker's
Lucid
presentation,
today,
there will be
like
a
someone
question
knew
and answer
what is
session.
going
To ask a
what's going
question
on.
during the session, you
Someone
will need to
like
press star one
sold
one on your telephone.
maybe some
You would
insider.
then hear an automated message advising your hand is raised. To withdraw your question, please press star one one again. I will now like to turn the conference over to 𝗪𝗓𝗓𝗏. You may begin.
Thank you, and welcome to Lucid Group's first quarter 2025 earnings call. Joining me today are 𝗪𝗓𝗧𝗛, our interim CEO, and 𝗪𝗓𝗪𝗧𝗛, CFO. Before handing the call over to Mark, let me remind you that some of the statements on this call include forward-looking statements under federal securities laws. These include, without limitation, statements regarding the future financial performance of the company, production and delivery volumes, vehicles and products, studios and service networks, financial and operating outlook and guidance, macroeconomic, policy and industry trends, tariffs and trade policy, company initiatives, and other future events. These statements are based on predictions and expectations as of today, and actual events or results may differ due to a number of risks and uncertainties. We refer you to the cautionary language and the risk factors in our most recent filings with the SEC and the forward-looking statements on page 2 of our investor deck, available on the investor relations section of our website at ir.lucidmotors.com. In addition, management will make reference to non-GAAP financial measures during this call. A discussion of why we use non-GAAP financial measures and information regarding reconciliation of our GAAP versus non-GAAP results is available in our earnings press release issued earlier this afternoon, as well as in the investor deck. With that, I'd like to turn the call over to Lucid's interim CEO, 𝗪𝗓𝗪𝗧𝗛. Mark, please go ahead.
Thank you, 𝗪𝗓𝗧𝗛. And I thank everyone for joining us on our first quarter 2025 earnings call. I'd like to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to our employees, customers, partners, and shareholders. Your continued belief in our mission is what drives us forward every day. In the first quarter of 2025, we continued to make significant strides on both operational execution and strategic positioning. We delivered 3,109 vehicles, up more than 58% year-over-year, and our fifth consecutive quarter of record deliveries. And this was despite very limited deliveries in Saudi Arabia due to a system change that has been fully resolved since then. We produced 2,212 vehicles, up 28% year-over-year. We also had over 600 vehicles in transit to Saudi Arabia. These will be counted toward production in Q2. We saw significant year-over-year improvements in gross margin, which was ahead of our guidance provided in our Q4 earnings call, while managing operating expenses. More recently, we completed a convertible notes offering with strong support from the Public Investment Fund. I'd be remiss if I didn't personally thank them for their continued support and partnership. Demand for the Lucid Air remains strong, and I'm proud to say that the 2025 Lucid Air was again named Best Luxury Electric Car by US News & World Report for the fourth consecutive year. In the first quarter, the Lucid Air remained the #1 best-selling EV and the third best-selling sedan overall in its segment in the US, including gas cars from many of the most storied brands in the world. In the month of March, we were even the best-selling vehicle of any type in our segment in the US, according to third-party data. Many of our customers continue to tell us that once they experience a Lucid, it's hard to go back. That's what sets us apart, not just the specs, but the way it feels to drive and live with on a daily basis. Turning to the Lucid Gravity, we are very excited by the strong interest we're seeing, and one of the most recent significant moments was a special customer event in the Meatpacking District just outside of our studio in New York City. Our Encounter Extraordinary stunt activation delivered meaningful results for Lucid. Over the course of one weekend, more than 3,000 people visited our New York store. leading to a significant increase in aided awareness, particularly among EV intenders. On social media, the campaign reached over 11 million people, driving some of our most significant follower and engagement growth to date. The Lucid Gravity is not just another SUV. It's a bold leap forward in design, space, performance, and technological elegance. The reaction we received in New York and in our recent media drive events confirm what we've believed all along, that the Lucid Gravity is a game changer. Motor Trend said that the Lucid Gravity is as good as an EV SUV get. Edmunds wrote, "A Lucid 7-passenger sequel is almost too good to be real." Forbes added, "The Gravity's all-around capability establishes a new era in electrical SUV engineering." And Jalopnik said, "Lucid's Gravity's brilliance makes other cars seem pointless." And the Lucid Gravity continues to attract new people to the brand, with more than 3/4 of orders coming from those that are new to Lucid. You can expect us to significantly ramp up our marketing campaigns throughout 2025. And as we put greater emphasis behind building the Lucid brand with customers, we are thrilled to share that we signed a global ambassador whose reach across entertainment, culture, and fashion will be a catalyst for our next phase of marketing and growth. We have a very special Lucid Gravity campaign we are currently producing and which will air soon. Stay tuned, an official announcement is forthcoming. And this is just the start. I'm pleased to welcome Akaho, pronounced AK, 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗖𝗧, to Lucid as Senior Vice President of Marketing. AK brings a wealth of experience to the Lucid team in building iconic brands, including Red Bull, and will play a key role in accelerating Lucid's marketing initiatives, increasing the reach and the relevancy of the Lucid brand, strengthening consumer engagement, and driving global growth. We continued deliveries of the Lucid Gravity to customers, including the first deliveries of the limited Dream Edition. In fact, we are delivering more Lucid Gravities as we speak. On the technology access and licensing side, we continue to see more interest, and we had a number of new conversations. I think OEMs are starting to see our leading EV technology as complementary to their scaling and manufacturing capabilities. We are also seeing more of an interest in the platform, our powertrain hardware, as well as our software and software-defined architecture. Discussions are ongoing and are at varying stages, with some much deeper in maturity and some in the early stages. While many companies are currently focused on the tariff situation, I'm optimistic about the potential for our technology access and licensing business. We've also seen interest in our manufacturing capability in Arizona. As OEMs look for more capital-efficient strategies to make vehicles in the U.S., we've seen several inbound inquiries to discuss possible cooperation. It's still early and talks are preliminary, but the President and the administration want to have a strong manufacturing sector in the U.S., and we are looking at potential ways we can leverage our assets. The recent purchase of certain Nikola assets gives us further optionality, while adding hundreds of more American jobs. So far, we welcomed more than 250 former Nikola employees with strong backgrounds in EV technology, which will support our growth plans. We received a lot of questions about this, and I think it's worth highlighting the tremendous value we received. We paid approximately $17 million in cash, plus the assumption of their 2 Arizona leases. Truly a great deal that allows us to gain assets that would have otherwise been significantly more costly by a huge factor. For context, these assets are valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. We've also engaged with strategic partners in Saudi Arabia and recently announced an MOU with the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, or KAUST. KAUST's world-class research infrastructure and talent has the potential to further boost our technology leadership in many dimensions, including our ADAS and autonomous driving roadmap, bringing cutting-edge innovation from the lab to the road. As part of this cooperation, Lucid will have access to KAUST's high-performance supercomputing capabilities, significantly enhancing simulation capabilities and providing compute power to train our AI models for ADAS and autonomous driving technologies. It also dramatically enhances our ability to develop advanced materials, simulate real-world physics, model fluid dynamics and thermal transfer, analyze electromagnetic flux, and accelerate AI training for autonomous systems, digital twin technology, and large language models. We are excited about this collaboration and thrilled about the breakthroughs it will drive across our engineering, autonomous driving, and AI initiatives. On the autonomous vehicle front, we are in advanced discussions with partners who have told us the Lucid Gravity is the best-positioned AV-capable platform on the market. Lucid Gravity comes out of production at AMP-1 with an AV-capable sensor suite, redundant electrical and control architectures, and the latest SoC. If you think about what fleet operators care about, they essentially have two critical requirements. The first is asset utilization. The second is operating costs. Lucid's leading technology enables both of those in ways that I believe no one else can. On asset utilization, longer range means less time for stops, while faster charging means less downtime to charge. On operating cost, greater efficiency means smaller battery for a given amount of range, resulting in lower charging costs. And a smaller battery without sacrificing range results in less weight, which can result in less wear. On level 4, we believe the industry has acknowledged Lucid's AV capabilities. Multiple L4-focused software and mobility companies have engaged Lucid about potential collaboration. On level 2++ and level 3, we've engaged with several companies to discuss accelerating L2++, L3 development, and are assessing multiple paths forward. We are focused on delivering the best and safest solution to our customers, leveraging models that can quickly scale in multiple geographies, and optimizing Lucid's CapEx and OpEx to get a competitive product timely into market. Before I close, let me touch on the topic of tariffs, which we've been getting asked about frequently. Taoufiq will go through our guidance in more detail, but I wanted to highlight that the automotive supply chain is global, and of course, I don't believe anyone can be immune. We are in a better position than others, given that we produce all of our vehicles we sell, and major components like our drive units, battery modules, and packs in the US in Arizona, but changes in policy bring about uncertainty until we get more definitive clarity to be able to assess the full impact and consequences. And the macro impact to the consumer is also something that is uncertain. But we've always been forward-thinking in our strategy, and we've been proactively working towards localizing supply. For example, although our 2170 battery cells from Panasonic today are produced in Japan, we expect future production at Panasonic's new production facility in Kansas. We've also committed to sourcing battery raw materials in the United States, such as graphite from partners like Graphite One and Syrah Resources. We also engaged in a range of other optimization initiatives to mitigate some of the tariff impacts, including collaborating across the supply chain to share challenges and financial responsibilities. For example, when you look at rare earth metals, we can make the necessary technical changes in-house to use different suppliers. We could potentially use entirely different rare earth metals as well, without impacting performance. Those in the industry that outsource, as many do, don't have the same level of flexibility or even technical know-how to do that. But I also want to highlight again the importance of leading technology. Because of our high power density, the Lucid drive unit actually uses less rare earth content compared to others, and Atlas will be even better. It's very similar to how our technology enables us to have a smaller battery for a given amount of range compared with our competitors. This underscores the importance of in-house technology know-how, and I believe we're among the best in the world in that regard. And it's not just having our factory in the US. I think something that's not well appreciated is the advantage of designing, developing, and manufacturing your own technology in-house. By vertically integrating, we are able to have more control over certain components that go into our vehicles. At the same time, we are exploring a variety of strategic adjustments to better align with the changing landscape, including vehicle price changes, tariff risk mitigation, and bifurcating the supply chain. These efforts are expected to help support overall cost effectiveness and supply chain efficiency. So the world is rapidly evolving, and we will be as nimble as we can. We are constantly evolving our strategy and examining our sourcing plans. Some of this may take time, and as I said earlier, no one is likely to be immune, including us. But relative to many other OEMs, we have some advantages. Our US manufacturing plant, AMP1, is in Arizona, and we vertically integrate our technology, which provides flexibility. And we will have production and vertical integration in our new assembly plant in KSA. M2 will allow us to optimize our production location and supply chain strategies, utilizing this highly strategic geographic locale. But of course, we'll remain attentive to policy developments and maintain open lines of communication with relevant stakeholders and government partners. In closing, we are not here to follow the EV playbook. We are here to rewrite it with the Lucid Air, now with the Lucid Gravity, and in the near future, our midsize platform variants. We have a world-class team driving innovation every day, and I feel Lucid is positioned better than it has ever been before. The road ahead is exciting, and we're just getting started. Thank you for your continued support and for believing in what Lucid represents. Not just a car company, but as a catalyst for what's possible. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Taoufiq to provide an update on our financials.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you to those who are taking the time to join us today. It's a pleasure to be here with you for my first full earnings call as CFO of Lucid Motors. Since joining, I've spent time across the organization with our engineering teams, our factory floors, our commercial teams, and our partners. And what stands out is the deep sense of mission and the shared belief in what Lucid represents, not just building remarkable EVs, but leading the transformation of the automotive industry through innovation, performance, and sustainability. We know that delivering on this mission requires more than just great technology. It requires discipline, financial, operational, and strategic. And this quarter, we've made meaningful progress on all three fronts. Let me walk you through the key highlights of the quarter and how they fit into our broader strategic agenda. One of my top priorities as CFO is ensuring that Lucid has the financial strength and flexibility to scale responsibly. In Q1, we took two important steps to bolster our liquidity and financial resilience. In February, we renewed and upsized our GIB credit facility in Saudi Arabia, increasing the commitment by approximately $240 million. In April, we closed a $1.1 billion convertible senior note offering due in 2030, which included the full exercise of the $100 million over-allotment option, and we used $935.6 million of the net proceeds to repurchase approximately $1 billion in principal of our outstanding 2026 notes. Both transactions demonstrated strong institutional support, particularly from the Public Investment Fund, our strategic anchor investor, and extend our liquidity runway into the second half of 2026, even before factoring in additional financing sources like Saudi Industrial Development Fund or the Ministry of Industry of Saudi Arabia grants. These actions are part of a deliberate strategy: maintain balance sheet strength while minimizing shareholder dilution, and do so in a way that supports our long-term growth ambition. Now, turning to Q1 results, we produced 2,212 vehicles, a 28% year-over-year increase, and delivered 3,109 vehicles, up more than 58% year-over-year. Importantly, this was achieved despite temporary systems issues in Saudi Arabia that have now been fully resolved. Total revenue for the quarter was $235 million, representing 36% growth year-over-year. We also recognized $31.5 million in regulatory credit revenue, a significant contribution and an area where we see continued opportunity. Gross margin improved meaningfully. On a GAAP basis, Q1 gross margin was negative 97.2%, up from negative 134.3% in the prior year quarter. This was ahead of the directional guidance we provided in February. The improvement reflects higher regulatory credit revenue, continued focus on cost transformation, and disciplined execution. When adjusting for one-time supplier recovery benefit in Q4, we delivered over 1,000 basis points of sequential improvement. Let's turn to operating expenses. In Q1, R&D was $251 million, down from Q4, largely due to the lower Lucid Gravity-related development expenses. However, we expect R&D to increase throughout the year as we accelerate investments in our midsize program and in the Atlas powertrain platform. SG&A was $212 million, a 13% sequential decline. The change was primarily attributable to a reversal of $35.4 million related to previously recognized stock-based compensation expenses. This reversal is a one-time in nature, and we expect this to normalize in the second quarter. Combined with seasonal growth and marketing initiative that we signaled last year, we would expect a more significant sequential increase in SG&A in the second quarter. We're continuing to focus on efficiency, but we are also investing where it matters, including brand building and expanding our commercial reach. Adjusted EBITDA in Q1 was negative $563 million, an improvement of 2% versus Q4. Moving to the balance sheet, our liquidity position and the strategic deployment of capital, we ended Q1 with approximately $4.56 billion in cash and investment and total liquidity of $5.76 billion. This provides a strong platform from which to execute on our long-term strategy. Inventory increased to $471 million, up from $408 million in Q4, as we ramp up production of the Lucid Gravity. This is in line with our build plans and expectations. CapEx for the first quarter came in at $161.2 million. Now, turning to our outlook, the level of uncertainty has increased since our last earnings calls. As Mark indicated, we've been working on ways to mitigate some of these impacts. But adversity is not new to Lucid, and we have always been a nimble company. We built a greenfield EV factory during a time of tremendous turmoil during COVID, when not just getting parts, but also getting people was challenging. We faced incredible supply chain disruption during a time when some of our suppliers were forced to shut down factories. And we launched the Air in a time of macroeconomic uncertainty. We were able to do this through the resilience of our team, a strong partnership with our supply chain, and a determination that I believe is embedded into the DNA of the company. There is a lot of uncertainty, and we need to tackle it with the same vigor as we have in the past. Last quarter, we provided a potential gross margin headwind of 7 to 12% based on the tariff impact, as we were aware of at the time of our Q4 earnings calls back in February. Based on what we understand today and the best information we have, we see the potential impact in range of 8 to 15%. This is a challenging situation, and the outcome on our financial performance depends upon various underlying factors, including market volatility and regulatory challenges. And as a result, the range could further change. Although the situation remains fluid, we are taking efforts to mitigate the impact as best as we can. Turning to production, we forecast production of approximately 20,000 vehicles in 2025. Although there are many uncertainties in the market, we believe we have some potential levers if market dynamics were to fluctuate, but we feel this is still an appropriate target. With regard to our liquidity position, we ended the quarter with the total liquidity of approximately $5.76 billion, which we believe provide us runway into the second half of 2026. I would also highlight that this does not include potential future Saudi Industrial Development Fund loans or Ministry of Industry of Saudi Arabia grants. Moving to CapEx, we believe in the large opportunities for Lucid ahead of us and will continue to invest for growth. We expect capital expenditure for 2025 to be approximately $1.4 billion, which include investments in our AMP1, AMP2, and retail infrastructure. That said, I believe we have potential levers here as well if market dynamics were to change. From a product perspective, beyond the Lucid Air and the Lucid Gravity, we plan to expand our vehicle lineup with the upcoming midsize platform, which is scheduled for start of production in late 2026. Introducing a new vehicle is always challenging and complex, particularly at our rapid pace, and we are leveraging insights gained from our Lucid Gravity production ramp while planning for our midsize production. The highly uncertain macroeconomic environment and swift-moving trade policies further complicate these efforts, and we are diligently working to optimize our supply chain and manufacturing plans for our midsize platform in response. In closing, let me leave you with this. We're building more than a car company. We're building a technology-driven, capital-disciplined, vertically integrated enterprise designed to lead in the next era of mobility. We're executing against our near-term goals, driving volume, improving margin, and operating with rigor. And we're positioning ourselves for long-term value creation with the clear strategic priorities, strong liquidity, and breakthrough products that redefine what EVs can be. To our employees, partners, and shareholders, thank you for your continued trust and belief in Lucid. With that, I'll turn it over to Maynard to take your questions.
Thanks, Taoufiq. We'll now start the Q&A portion of the call. Before we take questions from those on the phone, I do want to pose some questions that our retail investors sent in through the Say Technology platform. Question 1 is from Karthik A. With the acquisition of the Nikola factory, can midsize rollout and ramp be accelerated than previously planned, second half 2026? Also, does this acquisition minimize the capital expenditure than previously planned?
Maybe I take the first part, Taoufiq, and you take the second part on CapEx. First of all, I would like to clarify, it says in the question, second half of 2026. We always talked about, and Taoufiq, you said that earlier in the prepared remarks, late 2026. And it may not be well appreciated but the pace at which Lucid has been able to bring Lucid Air and Lucid Gravity to market was already incredibly fast and much faster than most OEMs are capable of. These were incredibly complex programs with substantial challenges that we had to overcome and are overcoming. The midsize is just as difficult. And on top of that, uncertainty around tariffs and the supply chain adds an additional layer of complexity. We are in the midst of sourcing and are about to make major sourcing decisions. Hence, we need to take the necessary time to fully evaluate the impact of current development developments to ensure we make the right business decisions for the long term, which is difficult to do in a rapidly shifting tariff environment. We are already working at a pace and a timeline that is very aggressive. So I would say, unfortunately, accelerating midsize isn't possible, particularly in this environment. I want to say so that the distinguishing attributes of the Lucid Air and Lucid Gravity will be definitely coming to midsize. You can see all of the positive reviews about the Lucid Gravity. I love the Lucid Gravity, but I think the midsize platform is going to be an even bigger game changer. But we've got to focus on getting it right, not just getting it out. Taoufiq?
So on the Nikola asset specifically, I think it's important to make the point that that was a highly attractive financial deal for us. So just to put things into perspectives, for hundreds of millions in assets, we did pay approximately $17 million in cash, plus 2 leases in Arizona that we have assumed. So I think that this could mitigate some of the capex that we will need to spend. For the time being, we're maintaining our capex guidance of $1.4 billion, but I definitely see opportunity for this to be better in 2025.
Great, thank you. Question number 2 is from John G, and there's actually another question related to the same topic from Chiwa H. Are there any plans for Lucid to sell or lease its technology to other car manufacturers in the future?
Yes, that always has been the plan. And this is why we actually named the company Lucid Group, not Lucid Motors. In fact, Aston Martin was our first OEM contract. And as I said multiple times earlier, we're in active discussions with many other companies. But of course, many OEMs today are very preoccupied with tariffs, and this might obviously take some of their focus, but I'm encouraged by the amount of the discussions we're having and the progress.
Thank you. And question number 3 is again from Karthik A. What is the impact on Lucid's supply chain as a result of Chinese curbs on export of rare earth material? To what extent is Lucid exposed to the tariffs?
I think the second part of the question we already addressed in the prepared remarks, even the first one. But let me reiterate that this was why designing, developing, and manufacturing your own technology is so important. There are very few companies that we are aware of that can do this to this end. Because of our vertical integration, we are able to have more control over various components that go into our vehicles. Not only does our high power density drive units in the Lucid Air and Lucid Gravity require significantly less rare earth materials, including a very low ratio of dysprosium and terbium, but we could potentially use completely different rare earth materials without impacting vehicle performance. We are always evaluating our supply chain, and we will continue to deliver the award-winning performance and experience that our customers expect every time they step into a Lucid.
Thanks, Mark. And our last question is from Patrick M. Is it fair to say that Lucid lacks urgency with regard to production ramp and deliveries? Gravity's timeline seemed especially slow a year from unveiling to orders opening, 51 more days to make 50 cars for friends and family, and nothing to show in the 4 months since.
Well, we appreciate your passion and share your sense of urgency. Bringing a high-quality vehicle to market, especially one that we believe will be a long-term category leader, requires thoughtful execution. Let me start by reiterating that we brought the Lucid Gravity to market at a pace faster than most are capable in the industry. While we encountered a modest supply chain bottleneck that has impact on our timeline, the more important point is that we're taking the time to get it right, not just getting it out. Our focus remains on delivering a product that meets the very high standards that our customers expect and that will drive long-term value for our shareholders. We have line of sight that all the supply chain bottlenecks are being resolved in Q2, and we have made plans to ensure capability to still produce the number of Lucid Gravities we initially expected for 2025. And in fact, we just recently delivered the very first Lucid Gravity Dream Edition and deliveries continue today, and we expect to start ramping further soon.
Great, thanks. Now we'd like to take questions from the phone lines. Tawanda, can you give instructions?
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder to ask the question, please press star 11 on your telephone, then wait for your name to be announced. To withdraw your question, please press star 11 again. Please stand by while we compile the Q&A roster. Our first question comes from the line of Stephen Gengaro with Stifel. Your line is open.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. I think the first one for me is, having been lucky enough to experience the Gravity, I would imagine as you get people in the seat, you'll start to see pretty significant interest. Can you tell us where you stand kind of on test drives and what you're seeing, maybe just call it qualitatively from an order perspective at this point?
Yeah, I can take that. From the orders perspective, we continue to see strong order inflow. We only have opened so far the ordering for our higher Grand Touring trim, and we actually see very good numbers continuing way above the GT of the Air. We also have launched a kind of little bit off the record, a limited edition, the Dream Edition, which is almost sold out. There are only a few available until we reach the limited number that we wanted to do. So all in all, we still see very high demand and interest in the vehicle. And as you rightfully said, it only increases when people are actually sitting in the car. And when it comes to test drives and studio cars, we are about to roll this out. Not all of the studios have their test drives and studio cars, but we are basically delivering those cars as we speak.
Great. Thank you. And then I might have missed this on the call, but do you have an update on where the Atlas drivetrain sits right now?
Yeah, I do. We're not actually announcing something today, but I think that is something for maybe the next few months or quarters where we then announce the Atlas drivetrain. We actually are actively discussing when are we doing this.
Okay, great. I'll get back in line. Thank you.
Thank you. Please stand by for our next question. Our next question comes from the line of Andres Sheppard with Cantor Fitzgerald. Your line is open.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Congratulations on the quarter, and thanks as always for taking our questions. I want to just maybe touch on the 2025 outlook. So, guidance is reaffirmed or unchanged at 20,000. I guess, how should we think about the breakdown between the sedans and the Gravity, both in terms of maybe production and deliveries for this year? I think in the past you had mentioned, I think the sedans, the Pures, will be relatively flat to last year, and the delta perhaps coming from the Gravity. Just any color you can give us there. Basically, we're trying to figure out, what's the best way to think about ASPs for the rest of the year. Thank you.
Yeah, I can take that. I mean, the expectation has not changed from what we said last time. We're expecting the Air. Actually, it sells pretty well right now. I'm not, in the prepared remarks, I said that in March we were actually the best-selling car in our segment. Not only EV, best-selling car in our segment. So it's Air is going well, but in general we're not expecting the Air to drastically increase in sales. So then the balance will have to come from Gravity. How this now exactly turns out by the end of the year remains to be seen, but that's kind of what we are planning for right now.
And maybe just to complement, because you also had a question about the ASPs. So, the expectation is that you should see the ASPs improving towards the second half of the year, with the Gravities representing higher volume in our overall mix.
Okay, when you say improving, in this case you mean lowering, correct? The blended ASP?
No.
ASP should
No. ASPs will go up.
Increasing. Okay, got it.
Yeah, they will increase.
Okay, got it. Super helpful. And then just as a maybe quick follow-up, on liquidity. So total liquidity is just shy of about $6 billion. You touched on this before, but can you remind us again kind of the plan to address the convertible bonds maturing in 2026? I believe the recent capital injection will be used to offset that, but can you maybe just remind us what you've said there and kind of what the plan is? Thank you.
Well, I mean, we didn't really specify the plan and the timing in terms of execution. I mean, what we have always said is that, I mean, historically, we have been very opportunistic. We will continue to be very opportunistic. The way we have executed the funding for the convertible bond or half of the convert, I mean, does demonstrate the fact that we are very nimble when it comes to executing this kind of transaction. It was a very successful transaction, very well executed, well received by the market, and that was very encouraging for us. So it gives us confidence for us to be able to drive the next phase of what we need to do. We are not communicating about the timing because, again, as I said, we want to be in a position to choose the right timing and do things when we think it's the right time, not when we have to do them.
Got it. That's super helpful. I appreciate all that context. Congrats again. We'll pass it on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Please stand by for our next question. Our next question comes from the line of Davis Sunderland with Baird. Your line is open.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Thank you, Mark and Taoufiq, for taking the questions. Maybe just to start, going back to your prepared remarks, Mark, about the KAUST partnership, could you just expand maybe a bit on the resources, either financial or through personnel, that you and your partner might be committing, where the R&D focus might be out of all those different areas you outlined? And then I have one follow-up.
Yeah. So the financial, there's actually not much financial commitment involved from our side, and that is actually going to be further discussed. I mean, right now we are in MOU phase, but I want to reiterate how much benefits that brings to us. I mean, the KAUST University has very strong resources across many areas, but for us, one of the major things is really about the compute power that we can have access to in a very cost-efficient way for us, particularly around AI models for ADAS and for autonomous driving. But that's not the only thing. Developing new materials and simulation, be it crash simulation or fluid related. There's a lot of things that we can do together, which will increase our capability to further develop our leadership in EV technology, but also then leadership in the areas of autonomous driving and ADAS. So it's a really, I cannot stress enough how beneficial that is for us. It's a little bit similar like the Nikola deal, and we said this earlier, maybe a little bit underappreciated how valuable that was for us. And this is another, let's say, stepping stone of things where we make smart choices in order to help our business.
And maybe just to reiterate what Mark has said, I mean, from a financial standpoint, I think that we need to look at this partnership as an asset-light way for us to accelerate our go-to-market. And I think it's really important to remind everyone about that because it gives us access again to a compute power with actually no financial commitment from our side, with the strong benefit of allowing us to accelerate our go-to-market.
That's super helpful. Thank you. And then maybe just for my second, totally acknowledge your points about other OEMs being preoccupied with tariffs, but just wanted to ask, do you see a scenario potentially where all the global uncertainty and the tariff talk actually increases interest in some of your technology, just as OEMs want to increase their use of U.S. components? And I know you talked in the past about a licensing model specifically, but would you guys ever consider being a manufacturer of certain components for a customer, given your excess capacity and maybe some of the new Nikola assets? Thank you, guys.
Well, actually, this is as part of our Aston Martin deal, the first one that we signed. We are actually a supplier or a manufacturer for the powertrain or the whole drivetrain technology for them. And so we're not opposed. I guess when it comes to doing this in a broader scale, we always have to consider, well, we want to build our own cars and we need our capacity for that. And, we want to focus on that, but it's not out of the picture. And, I'm glad you brought the Nikola topic up because, yes, absolutely. I mean, this gives us now more options to do things like that. And as a matter of fact, I mentioned that in the prepared remarks, we had several players reaching out to us, exploring, joint manufacturing in the U.S., given that we have now additional assets that we can leverage. So yes, we can envision that, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. As a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that's star 11 to ask the question. Please stand by for our next question. Our next question comes from the line of 𝗖𝗧𝗪𝗧 with Redburn Atlantic. Your line is open.
Great. Good afternoon. Thank you for your time, Taoufiq and Mark. I have two questions, which I'll ask separately, if that's okay. In the near term, not to be philosophical, but total work hours can be thought of as being a semi-fixed resource. And I was wondering if Lucid would divert time to re-architect existing supply chains for the Air and the Gravity at the potential detriment to the mid-size platform timeline.
The answer is no. No. We are working right now with a very strong focus on midsize, and we are not making decisions to rework supply chain on our existing products to hamper anything on midsize. So I want to be crystal clear on this. It doesn't mean that we're not working on Air and Gravity supply chain. We actually do that. But particular to your point, at the detriment of midsize, the answer is a clear no.
All right. That's helpful to have confirmation. Thank you, Mark. Secondly, the journalist event in April has mostly positive feedback on the Gravity, which is great. But several reviews, some of which you highlighted in your opening remarks, mentioned fit, finish, and technology issues. An enthusiast forum also indicates that many studios are yet to receive permanent test deals. My question is whether the state of the vehicle and its derivatives, so the Touring and whatever else that follows, are on track versus your expectations at the start of 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I think we stated, or I stated that also, that we now actually continue deliveries to customers. I'm following this very, very closely. As a matter of fact, this morning, I checked how many we had this morning. So deliveries are still happening. It is true that we had some technical issues that we had to overcome around software, but also on the topic around HUD, the head-up display. You probably have heard that we basically entangled the technology package and made the HUD optional, because that is one area where we had issues with the supplier not ramping up at the level our customers wanted, actually, the technology package. Now that we have untangled that, we can continue to build vehicles, because it's not only the HUD itself involved, it's also different harnesses and other things that you have to change. And so with that move, we are now able to continue and scale up our deliveries. And other things were around software updates that we had to do, which are now have been done as well. So yeah, there have been some hiccups. To be quite frank, I think this is absolutely normal in the beginning of launching a vehicle. But we're basically one after the other knocking those out. And that's also why we delivered less vehicles to studios and for test drives, because we want to only do that if we have the standard that we promise to our customers. And we rather push it out a few days or weeks rather than putting half-baked product in front of the customer.
Sure. I can completely understand and get that ramp-ups have a natural learning curve. Thanks for your time, both. Look forward to speaking soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Please stand by for our next question. We have a follow-up from the line of Stephen Gengaro with Stifel. Your line is open.
Thanks for taking the follow-up. I'm not sure you'll want to comment directly on this, but I'm curious, can you talk about, with the Gravity production ramping, how do you think about the sort of the timing and the puts and takes towards gross margins moving towards break even and profitability? Is there anything you can kind of talk about that helps frame that for us?
Well, I mean, we didn't specifically guide about the timing of us reaching the break even, but I think that it's important as well to insist on the fact that the key lever for us to reach the break even is the scale. So Gravity will definitely contribute to our path to allow us to reach that scale, which will lead us to the break even. But the real program which will allow us to mitigate the fixed cost under absorption is the mid-size.
Yes. Okay. Thanks. I think that's all for me. I appreciate the information.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to the interest of time, that concludes today's conference call. Thank you for your participation. You may now disconnect.
Okay. Well, that was an interesting one. Definitely did cut off fairly early, and even though they said in the interest of time, I don't think this is actually the shortest earnings that I've ever participated in. So yeah, I guess a couple of key things. Side note, for those of you that have joined, I have SaudiBay. We're having a little bit of a technical audio video issue, so we're both here alive. Yeah.
Alive.
Yeah, we are alive. So here, you start. What was your kind of takeaways from the earnings?
Oh boy. So I like the Q&A section from Analyst and coming from the phone. Steve-O and who else? But most likely, I just like the convertible notes in 2026 was a very negative question, in my opinion. The answer was also unclear in the beginning. They were asking about margin and when you are expected to be positive in that, which they can't predict, as we established years ago. So I don't know. They acknowledge the Gravity delay in all scales. I like that they the Mark explained about why the delay. I didn't like that they are still talking about partnerships and regarding their technology and supply of their technology, which it's not happening as we see. I don't know. They also clearly have pushed the Gravity to Q2, Q3, Q4 mostly. Yeah, that's my take. So it wasn't bad, but it wasn't different from Q4, sorry.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think, not to be bearish, but the market is brutal right now. And if a company is not giving good future guidance, it's going to get hit. Like we saw, like even with Amazon, Apple, they hit the key metrics, but they gave somewhat crappy future guidance. I not really jumping up and down for joy with these what they gave. Even though I liked their transparency, I liked their honesty, just especially about the Nikola facility, and just a lot of their answers were good. It was kind of very refreshing, and it just nothing really stood out. So I feel like a lot of negative ratings will come out, unfortunately, from this. And one thing that they did mention was the tariffs, though. They previously did guide, I think they said 7 to 12. Now they raised it to 8 to, I believe it was 8 to 15%. That's what the potential damage from the tariffs could hit their margins. So that one is something to be aware of.
What about that? They were talking about using the Saudi Arabia as a geographical advantage for their side, but they also said, I think Mark said that. Let me see if that's Mark. Yes, Mark said that they are advising local regulator and partners about taking any step. So they might be playing politics here, avoiding bypassing, materials through Saudi Arabia to the US, maybe, which can do some political damage.
Yeah. Well, I know they can't outright come out and just say, hey, we're going to start distributing more on a larger scale from AMP2. But they didn't really, like, if I was an analyst and I was asking a question, I would have asked about demand coming from, like, they talked on tariffs, but they didn't really talk on, have you seen since demand, maybe a slowing in test drives coming from Europe, from Canada? Because yeah, if you're paying 20% more, 25% more in some cases, it's going to be a very big deterrent. And you could, like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of grayness, which Mark kind of said, until we have clarity on that. But yeah, like, I don't know, like I said, I think there was nothing really crazy that stood out. You're right about they mentioned some people, they're in early stages for some, mature in the other for kind of talks with OEMs, but a lot of them are worried about tariff issues. So that's not, I guess, partnerships aren't their primary focus.
Yeah, maybe they are talking to Nissan. I don't know, because what made me think that he was talking because I don't know, a few weeks ago, Nissan have canceled their EV program, so they are not seeing value of it. So maybe they are looking for a partner to build their fleet instead of them. They are working in China, but I don't know why they stopped production of EV vehicles. So they might be looking for alternative options. There might be, not sure, of course.
And one thing I felt like Mark somewhat gave conflicting details on. Initially, they mentioned the cost, that new strategic partnership that they just formed, which again, based on the news, it kind of alludes to like a lot of big things coming. But when an analyst, I think it was Stifel, the analyst from Stifel, asked, Mark just downgraded it, said, no, there's actually not much financial kind of backing required for that. And we're actually just at the MOU stage. So I feel like he really downplayed that. So it's just at a pretty much basic MOU, which Lucid has signed tons of MOUs with a lot of entities, and not really much has developed from those. So I feel like he really, to me, like, if he didn't say that, I would still be very hyped up about that. But with him saying, oh, it's just at the MOU stage, like, I feel like, I don't know, or maybe I'm overthinking that part.
It's all about ADAS and autonomous driving. I think for the Saudi market specifically, developing because this require a lot of regulations related to autonomous driving, which is not, I don't know if it's already regulated in Saudi Arabia, but I've been following up with about this research and development facility, and they do have one actually exist. But is it a big deal? It's just business as usual, in my opinion. Nothing special.
And side note, everyone pop over to Twitter, SaudiBay. I put the link in the description. A lot of good information on Lucid, even including he has his own website that he launched, analysis on Lucid, SoFi, Grab, SoundHound, a lot of popular names. So definitely go there, give him a follow. A lot of good information.
Yeah, thanks.
Lucid's moving up though.
Yeah, what about that AI initiative? I'm just interested. I thought they depend on SoundHound for for their AI technology.
Yeah, the AI is what Lucid was, an AI assistant, which is pretty good. I feel like it's not a crazy. It's more beneficial to SoundHound rather than Lucid. I think it just increases the customer satisfaction, but with updates from SoundHound, I feel like it could really be an all-in-one type of scenario, just get it to do anything. But I think that would coincide with higher levels of autonomous driving. So yeah, I think Lucid just needs to continue to innovate. Which I guess we should find out from the Atlas drive when they mention that. I think in the next couple of quarters they mentioned that we'll get a big update.
Yeah.
And also I guess they mentioned there's going to be a big Gravity campaign. So that one might be good. But one thing I think someone said it in the chat as well, Bank of America didn't actually join. And this is, I think, the first time ever since 2021 that Bank of America has not joined.
Not interested since last time.
Well, they went very bearish, and they went, and they were very public too. So not only did they become very bearish on Lucid, but the broader market, and they're short the S&P. Since then, S&P has gone up 12-13%. So I'm pretty sure they just made a fool of themselves for the most part, but still, for them not to attend, I think that's kind of interesting. Which is unfortunate. They were actually one of the most bullish entities out there on Lucid.
Right. I'm glad they didn't attend anyway.
Yeah.
Just because they become very bearish lately, as you said, so they wouldn't do good, in my opinion. So things that they mentioned also through the phone about the Dream Edition being sold out. Do we know how many actually Dream Edition they have in the market?
I think
they're planning to
450, I think.
450. So is that a global number or specific for North America?
As far as I'm aware, well, they didn't. I don't think they specified, but if they're going to follow what they've done with the Air, then it would be just North America, and then they would do the, I assume, Kingdom Dream Edition for the Gravity.
Maybe.
And I guess, so I know it's kind of gone back and forth. What is AMP2's capacity right now? Is it 10,000?
Latest, as I remember, it was 5,000, but according to 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗪, he said 8,000 last interview back in 2024. So now they can do 8,000, and they are expanding to do 10,000 and more, of course, based on the plan.
So I think that's rather disappointing. So they announced their numbers April the 2nd, which they mentioned in there that 600 shells are being sent to AMP2 for construction. They mentioned that again in this earnings that the same 600 are en route there, which will be pretty much deliveries and production for Q2. So it kind of goes to show that their ramping up is dismal, I think. Like, is that all they're doing is 600 a quarter from AMP2?
Yeah, that is interesting.
I think
I know
Lucid
they
really
are.
needs to ramp that up for sure.
Yeah, they are way they are on the delay side. They are facing problem, as they said. I was expecting this delay due to supplier issues. I expect personally, I didn't share that publicly, of course, but I found some evidence back then about some delays, but I didn't know for a fact, of course. But now I don't know how it's gonna be in Q2. But I don't think they will. Gravity will be some deliveries, but Q3 and 4 will be the real challenge. So they are really pushing themselves in a corner, trying to meeting their production guidance, which might be changed, in my opinion, if they fail to ramp up during Q2. Definitely, it's like 100%. They will change that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if anything, it'll be done next quarter, most likely. Similar to what happened, I think, in, was it 2023? But
yeah.
And there's a couple comments. When is AMP2 set to be completed? Is that 2026?
It should be by the end of this year, maybe. And I think they have already started installing some machineries there for some part of the factory, but I don't know where I did see that, but they still working on that. They should be finishing by, I think, October, November, the expansion in term of construction.
So here's a good question. MTW. So they want to know, out of 10, what would you consider this earnings?
Is that question to me?
Yes.
From 1 to 10, do I rate this? I don't know. It's like a 5, I think. It's not a 5, even better, like maybe 7, 8. It's not bad. It's quite good, but the gravity is the only questionable aspect of it. Everything else is fine. Even they over deliver, even though they mentioned that Saudi Arabia have they had an issue during Q1 with Saudi Arabia, technical issue. They said, I don't know what does that mean, but they delivered nicely above Q4. Production maybe a little bit less, but or the same. But yeah, I think it's nice. So 7, 8, I would give it out of 10.
Very optimistic. But I would say a 5.
Yeah, Q4 will Q2 will be like, if they don't deliver the gravity, I will give them 3 maybe, even if it over deliver with everything else, because that's a red flag.
I think if you compare this quarter to previous quarters, they improved, more self-improvement. So I think that if you're just rating it from that, I feel like it would be like a 7. But what Wall Street is going to see this as is probably going to be as a 4 or 5. And I think it is just because of lack of clarity. Like, we're still left with a lot of questions unanswered. And yeah, the market is brutal, very, very brutal. But
the market is doing what it needs to do. I mean, all calculated. But tomorrow, I think we will have some sort of a dip. Definitely. Yeah. So prepare for the maybe 210. Yeah, that's the key number in my opinion.
Youssef wants to know, what do you guys think about the new CFO?
Tawfiq. I don't know him. I looked him up, but CFOs are there. They are doing the same job. They are excellent in doing their jobs with Lucid, all the previous ones. So I don't know. I'm more worried with the CEO, the interim one. I'm waiting for Lucid or the board of directors to decide if Mark is the permanent one or not. That is the question, because that means that Mark is meeting expectations, and if there is a test, he passed it. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, I definitely. I think. How do you say it? Takuf, whatever his name is, the new CFO.
Assuming he's an Arabic name. So
I actually like his passion, and that's one thing that stood out to me last quarter is that I've never had a CFO explain what he sees Lucid being. So he actually brought up his vision, and I really liked that. So I think I instantly kind of liked him. This time around, he was very well spoken. Mark, I get it. CEOs and people just read off of scripts. Last earnings, Mark didn't. He went completely rogue. I don't know if that's because Peter probably got laid off or whatever happened last minute, so he didn't have time to prepare. This time, it just seemed very bland. And whereas the CFO, he spoke and it was like, it seemed very, I don't know, upbeat. He kind of sounded like he knew what he was talking about, even answering the analysts. He seemed to know his stuff. Of course, what he answered wasn't the best, but that was out of his control. That's just more of a Lucid type of problem. But I think he's good. I think, at least. But
oh yeah, he was okay. I think during the call, he stuck to the scenarios and all the prepared remarks he needed to say. So he answered also boldly, I would say. Is he European? I think he's from Europe. He came, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's probably just doing what he used to do, because Europeans usually, managers of leaderships usually are bold and they don't try to hide stuff, and I see that in him as well. So he's not trying to divert from any question, just face it and answer it. But but I think the difference now between Peter and him is it kind of show, if you think about it. He's more production and delivery oriented guy more than Peter.
Which I guess he's typical German, right? Straight down to business. Just get like so yeah. Even Jeff mentioned 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗡. He must be German, I assume.
Yeah. Maybe.
Must be. But I guess because of everything that was happening today, I didn't even see that Lucid put out news. Lucid strengthens leadership team as company prepares for growth. So we kind of knew that they hired that new marketing individual, which had a lot of like Red Bull experience, but it looks like they hired a lot of other people too. Dr. 𝗖𝗧𝗪, presidents for ADAS, Jason 𝗪𝗧𝗛, who's a vice president of global manufacturing engineering. I think that AK individual is that marketing person. So yeah, they're really getting a lot of well, it looks like actually a new VP of program management, Gemma Parker, a 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗪, who is a VP of revenue. So yeah, they're really stepping up. So probably actually, because there's always like those blackout periods, right? So most likely we will be seeing a lot of Form 4s probably tomorrow with all these individuals receiving shares, I think.
100%.
That's usually
coming.
Yeah, that's usually what happens. They wait till after earnings and they just dump all the Form 4s, and as long as they don't get millions and millions of shares, I think the standard is 100,000, I believe. That's their pay package.
I mean, you gotta act like a successful company before you become one. So
yeah,
that's the case. I mean, it's not bad. I see it as a good way to attract some good people to the company. One of them is money, of course, and shares, which is it's a good way to show how committed also the company to the employees.
Yep. Yeah, no, definitely. Eventually, though, it just needs to come down to the point where they just need to ramp up, right? Like, you need to, I get it, you need to pay all these individuals to give them shares that kind of builds their kind of work ethic for the most part, but you need to start producing more vehicles just to offset dilution. And I feel like that's been the case for Lucid for the last several years. So they just need to like get the damn job done.
Eventually they will do, but I'm still concerned about what happened to Saudi Arabia, because the delivery number based on the revenue is quite short. They didn't explain why. Like, they have a drop about maybe more than maybe 17%, but they compensate that with the North American sales, which is great. So I don't know what happened. Also, Europe has small like drop in sales as well, or delivery. So that's to be honest, unusual for Saudi Arabia at least, or Middle East specifically.
I think hopefully next quarter, we just need to set up management to answer better questions from retail. Like, there was one video, I think it was from 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, CEO, from, I think it was like 3 quarters ago, when he outright just said like he wants to screw over all the shorts, like pretty much destroy their Coke and stop their Coke dealers and all that stuff. That's the type of rant that Lucid needs to do, just to say like like, it's not like Lucid is like a harmless company. They have the PIF. Like, that's as powerful as it comes. And like, I feel like with all this great, a lot of institutions are sometimes hesitant to really invest. So shorts take advantage of that, of just the greatness, and really just bring stocks down, such as Lucid. It's okay if you have cash and you can buy the dip and you believe in stocks like bigger picture, but it's very frustrating to buy and then see all the manipulation.
They got I might short in the future, just
Okay.
how it feels. I mean, I bought today like maybe 1,000 share, like to see what's happening. Now I am at my average post market, so I don't know. Should I sell? Should I keep? I don't know. So I'll be deciding that tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, I think at least based on the technicals, like it might pull back to that 218, probably bounce off of there. I'd see that happening tomorrow, but yeah, I feel like
About 10%.
yeah, about that, which is kind of on the which was on the implied move, kind of on the low end, but I think Lucid, quarter over quarter, they're making an improvement. Just not. I think just investors are now having higher and higher expectations of them, which is good, but Lucid just needs to really get it done.
I don't know. They need. I think that the coming now in the future, I think they should start giving some, updates about the Gravity production ramp up, especially for the coming, two quarters, even before, before earning calls and such. Because I start noticing lately they are choosing the timing of their announcement, even with the change of management last time with Peter and the support of the PIF. They all pushed together, so they are trying to control the narrative of the stock market. So
Yeah, they do that. They put out their PR, then it's like, oh, here's a convertible note. They like, yeah,
confuse you a little bit.
Yeah.
So they are doing something about it, but I noticed that. So they just need to push more positive news in between time to time, maybe on a monthly basis like Chinese companies do, or weekly. I don't know if that's possible for them.
Let's see. Someone asked about top 10. So the volume, Lucid was 10th today for the volume, most active. So now I think was it the third consecutive day it was top 10.
Interesting.
At least it's getting attention, right? It just it's doing okay, but it would be better with some partnerships. And it'd
I
be
think the tariffs maybe withheld some of these negotiations. Maybe they were negotiating with some international company, not local.
yeah.
Also, they never updated us about the Aston Martin deal. I'm trying always to find out some information about it through their financial reportings.
Well, we
They
get
barely
our
talk.
like regardless of the scenario, we get our 33 million every quarter, right? So we get that regardless if Aston Martin uses the technology or not. So I don't at this stage I don't think it really matters if they Aston Martin does anything. It's just as long as we get our money, that's all that matters.
It's only 33. It's nothing. But if they start production, I mean, or do something significant from their end, the Aston Martin, they might increase the whatever they are getting from Lucid, like the motors, the battery packs, and
Oh
such.
yeah.
Maybe the Nikola, factory was part of that. I don't know. Maybe they are preparing for something
Oh, and
because they are saying in a statement that they are preparing for warehousing facility, testing facility, and such.
I wrote that down. I found that interesting because that is rather conflicting, and this is something that the CFO could be incorrect on. But where was that? I wrote it down right here. So they said that they acquired it for 17 million in cash, the Nikola facility, but they value it at hundreds of millions. Didn't clarify on the actual number, but what I find interesting is on one of my videos I popped over, I looked at Nikola's last disclosed earnings, and they bought it in 2023 for 124 million, and since then I think they depreciated it like 40%. So the true value of it I don't think is hundreds of millions. I think it's more on the 50 million most likely. So it's kind of interesting that they CFO was trying to upplay that transaction. And just for clarity, I know some people are in the comments or were in the comments that they're not taking Nikola's debt. They're just taking that one facility and that's it. So it was like free and clear. So that's just part of the bankruptcy proceedings. So they are not taking on Nikola debt, just so people are aware.
Yeah, they highlighted that through their fillings. They are not committed to the. So I think they only committed to continue leasing the land to Arizona, to the Arizona, I don't know which department, and or the owner of the land. I think I looked it up. Like Nikola have leased it from some company which bought it for Nikola, and now Nikola pays them, in a frequent time matter. So Lucid will continue to do that instead of Nikola. But they don't. I don't know why they said they own the land. I'm not sure they are owning the land. They are leasing the land for I don't know how many years.
Yeah, I think they really need to do like funny thing is, you mentioned shorting. One stock that I actually short quite frequently, every time it does go up, is Rivian. It's I'm not really a fan of Rivian. I was initially, but kind of fell out of love of it. But one thing that I gotta admit that they're good at is making a lot of strategic partnerships. And it looks as though that Rivian is the one that is kind of making these initial steps to make these partnerships. So I feel like there is opportunity. Lucid needs to really step up and do that. And they probably have, the PIF could probably use some of their weight and really push good deals towards Lucid's way. But I feel like they need to start making like strategic partnerships for in Europe. And clearly they're not really trying to pursue China right now, which is probably smart, but they need to make more of these and be more established in Europe. And technically it still would be around the tariffs, because I'm sure AMP2 would be getting the brunt of the benefit of that, of any strategic partnership and maybe supply chain that it could offer. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, now AMP2, I think they can ship to Europe without problems. So I don't know, yesterday or the day before that, I was at the EVS, the event in Saudi Arabia for electrical vehicles. And I noticed that many, I don't know, important people from Asia, they are like a group of people. They come and look at. They were testing the Lucid cars. They completely ignored Tesla and other companies. I don't know how those people, but they were very important. Looks very important, like a group of people, a secretary, a translator, and a few other people. I don't know if they are specifically looking into Lucid or they're just looking into, because it's quite small event. So if they want to look at these cars, they should go to a bigger event, more variety of vehicles. So that was interesting. So in terms of Lucid, I don't know. China can be something, can be big news for Lucid if they can do anything in China, especially from AMP2, because there are some, sort of agreements and, for mutual trading between Gulf countries and China in general. So maybe the EV market now in Saudi is maybe 70% of it is basically run by Chinese companies. Tesla now is entering as well. They are importing from China all their vehicles, so they are manufactured in China and bring it in based on their registration. I think one of their registration is the Model Y was coming from Europe, only from Germany, but Model 3 were like 100% from China. So yeah, I see Lucid can do that from AMP2, not from the US. They can do that. Why not sell in Shanghai or Beijing or maybe Hong Kong? I don't know. Lots of rich people looking for luxury vehicles. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. And I guess what was his name? Andrew. So about Four Seasons, I think I kind of saw a bunch of partnership announcements with them. What's your kind of take on the Four Seasons partnership that they've launched? Do you think that's actually going to be good for, I think it's both Europe and North America?
Interesting. I don't know. They represent, so the Four Seasons is a nice hotel, luxurious, not the most expensive one, of course, but they focus on resorts and, as I see it, golf clubs. So it is nice exposure for Lucid, definitely. It will help increase sales for the Gravity, not for for the Air, because I did try it lately, and comparing to the Gravity, it's just it's not anymore an option for me. If I'm going to buy an Air or a Gravity, I'm definitely going for the Gravity. It's just a much thoughtful vehicle than the Air. The Air has some still, it's a first production car, first designed vehicle for them, so it still have some, things to avoid in the future. Not the best vehicle in terms of usability, I would say.
Yeah, I think that was because they recently expanded it, right? But I know initially that was maybe Peter's vision of marketing is to do a bunch of test drives, because I think in Q2 2024, that's Lucid's biggest thing, because they signed Saks, a couple of retail stores, and then they did a couple like hotel chains. I wasn't that big of a fan of it. Like, yeah, it could add some exposure, but realistically, if I was staying at like a any hotel, like I feel like it would be cool to get chauffeured around and whatever, but I feel like that might not, I don't know, it's not really hitting the target market. And that's something that a lot of, I think, maybe opens to a bigger question, is that Peter, I think, had somewhat identity issues. And I think because Lucid, based on Peter's old mentality, really wanted to ramp up, but they kind of failed for various things, supply chain issues, bad timing. But like Lucid wants to be like a Tesla equivalent, but at the same time, they're being seen as like a Ferrari type of equivalent only because they're not really ramping up. So I feel like Lucid really needs to figure out what they want and what is their true goal. Are they only going to be doing like 25,000 a year and that's it? Or do they truly plan on ramping the hell up? And I feel like they just need to choose their target. Does that make sense? Or am I crazy here?
Oh, sounds, yeah. I mean, one of the things they do in Saudi, I know that they are doing, they schedule like a visit to a company, and they visit the company. They give test drives to CEOs, general managers, those guys, which are potential customers. So they target them directly, like build relationship and try to sell the car to them. Maybe they just too busy to visit the showroom, so they go to them. But hopefully more cars are in the street because of that. Definitely they are selling through this strategy. They doing the same in the North America. I think this is a global initiative from their side, like sort of go-to-market initiative.
Dr. Zero brought up a good point, is Costco. That makes actually perfect sense to park a Gravity in a select Costco's, let's say the top maybe 5% in North America, park them there, and I'm sure that would drive up a significant amount of sales. Or I feel like there's something there to it. And hopefully Mark, which seems to be very focused and loves marketing, with the World Cup being in North America next year, that's a huge opportunity for Lucid to, let's say, even sign, since Messi's in Miami, just sign Messi or Ronaldo, or sign some big names, and then you can actually start the marketing campaign like soon. I'm sure probably end of this year you'll start seeing some World Cup marketing. That's something that Lucid can really do very well.
True. I don't know. It's funny. You never see Tesla like this. Go to customers trying to seek them. They usually come around.
Yeah.
That's the case, or because I don't know, but it feels that way. I don't see them doing any campaign. They don't go on advertisement like that much.
Brooklyn just said, get Lucid in the next Fast and Furious. Vin Diesel. It's all about family.
Yeah. It's funny. So I think in summary here, Tobias gave good questions because he was talking about progress and expectations of the Gravity, why the delay. Then Mark said software-related issues, heads-up display technical issues from suppliers. So it's all over again, the Air, which I was afraid about. They didn't learn from the first time, so they are repeating the same problem or same mistake again. That's my impression. It should it's not maybe it's not true, but this is my impression. Yeah, a lot of good. One of the question from John H from the public question posted earlier. Actually, Patrick gave a good question, sort of good. Why the urgency about the Gravity? So they always say we need to just resolve Q2 should be stable within Gravity. So they always say we have to get it right. We don't have to get it fast, something like this. That's not a good way to say it. Maybe they should stop saying that. You should get it right. That's a given. You're always gonna sell something that is working. Otherwise, you will face problems. But the question is why you are not getting it fast out. So they didn't give a specific good answer to that the first time, but somehow they elaborated. Tariffs. The tariff situation is still a problem as well.
Yeah. Right. Well, you never know.
One of the things they talked about also, they are starting a campaign and they are assigning an ambassador for that campaign, or they are signing with an ambassador for their brand. Maybe I don't know, maybe or someone else. I don't know why they are choosing unusual, unpopular people to do their advertisement.
Yeah, they definitely do need more big names out there to be ambassadors, because largely a lot of people still don't really know what Lucid's about, which is kind of crazy. So it goes to show that there's a lot of room for improvement, and once Lucid becomes more of a popular name, then you'll be up to like what you said about Tesla. They don't have to do much. People come to them. That's what Lucid will be.
That's the ambassador role here will be their Elon Musk. Elon Musk to do their awareness about the brand. I think Elon Musk was the key for Tesla. Also, they were not producing that high quality vehicle, but it was cheap, relatively, and they were first comer to the market. Basically, they created the EV in North America, at least. So they had an advantage, plus Elon Musk. So it's a quite competitive market right now. It's not the same.
Yeah. Well, it was a fun earnings. Maybe we can do another video together 1 week after, and we can do kind of a compare and contrast just to see how the market really digested Lucid's earnings. You never know. Maybe things... market did get a nice boost up while we were kind of going through, and that's because it looks as though China has once again disclosed that they're talking to the States. So that kind of gave it a nice boost higher. I feel like that's also something very frustrating too, because one day it's like, yeah, we're talking, no, we're not, yes, we are. It's like, what the hell is going on? And what I kind of find comical in the end, I think Trump's going to be seen as like put on a pedestal because of all this, because now people are begging. So when Trump initially raised the tariffs, I think he tacked on 10% to make it 20 total, and then he bumped it to I think 40 or 45. People are now like begging for that. People are begging for like 40% just on China. It's like that will save the market. But at the time, like he can pretty much cut the tariffs down to that and be seen as like a hero. I have a weird feeling that's how the market's going to see him as, which is kind of a weird scenario, but
Yeah, it's gonna happen this way or that way. Basically, I mean, he's gonna do what he have to. He believes in something, so he's gonna do it. His
yeah,
method is a bit unusual. It's not many people are happy about it, but I think it's good overall from economical perspective. The way that he's doing it, maybe it's wrong, but um, eventually it will be good for the US. So maybe on the side note here, just maybe out of Lucid situation here, there's a news that actually three leaders, which is one of them is Palantir leader, I don't know, Alex, his name, right?
yeah,
Alex,
Carp, yeah.
he will be speaking in the Saudi US Investment Forum in Riyadh here in capital on May 13th. Just about the Trump visit. That's three leaders will be visiting or scheduled to speak during Trump visit. Will be Larry Fink, BlackRock, and Citigroup, Jane Fraser, and Palantir's Alex. So hopefully they are planning to do some business because there is a big plan for some major investments.
Makes sense.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's under the
I think bigger picture, yeah, everything will settle itself out. Just market doesn't like uncertainty right now, and it's kind of hard to plan, even from Lucid standpoint, on what is how like you can't really plan. But I think Lucid just needs to be proactive and just like they actually have a very good benefit of having AMP1 and AMP2. I think they just need to truly treat them as independent companies, have AMP2 fully kind of self-sufficient, and then same goes for AMP1, so everyone has their own supply chains. That way if there is tariffs in the future, then maybe one facility could get potentially hit, but the whole company, it's good to mitigate risk maybe.
Yeah, I see your point. Like maybe if like European company when they moved to China, they treated themselves like a separate company, different even vehicle models, different suppliers. They even later on started shipping from China to Europe. They like the idea that China is more protective, more efficient for their operation. I don't see why not, but still, in Saudi Arabia we don't have much suppliers for the AMP2, as far as I know. They are working on it. I know that there will be some agreement this year, of course, with some Chinese suppliers, as indicated by some leaders in the market. So we'll see about that. So that will help for the mid-size, definitely, because they're planning to do much of the production here in AMP2, as they stated.
Yeah, I just hope that after like the second variation of the Gravity, they don't do a third. Like I feel like they need to really focus a lot on the midsize and get that out.
Completely agree. But that is going to happen like in 2027. That's like 100%. I don't see a way out of it. If the Gravity, they cannot overcome supplier issues, this is going to continue with the mid-size. Especially they are using different, what they call it, platform, as they said, a bit different technology. Even the battery and the, what they call it, the motors and everything else. It's a better technology, as they stated. So it's going to be different. So they will have some challenges, but they will get it eventually, hopefully. Cristiano, all right. So interesting companies coming to Saudi next week. We'll see about
So
that.
Applecor has a question to you.
Uh-huh.
does Saudi currently have a market for EVs?
The way I see it, like even the strategy is around three cities, major cities, which is one on the west, one in the east, like Jeddah, and where the AMP2 is, and one and the capital city, Riyadh, where I am located as well. What I see is that we have a shift we have a shift, but it's not motivated by government incentives. Like if you are owning an EV, that's up to you. We do not encourage you to do that. On the other side, electricity is cheap. Like you can save 80% in charging the car compared to filling a gas on your car. That is significant as well. Maybe that's the only advantage in terms of economic advantage in terms of owning an EV. I do not advise to own a Tesla as because it doesn't work. They have very bad quality holding up with the temperature here from people experience. But as an EV, yeah, I see some shift in the market. So what we need to do, I think the only thing that will be I think before the mid-size, we will see, or maybe end of this year, even with the SEER coming out, the other company, Saudi company, there should be some regulations and incentive programs owning actually an EV, which sort of exists, with all the support coming to Lucid, debuting their vehicles in the market, exempts from many taxes, as they have the Middle East headquarters in Saudi Arabia. That's a different program, which they can save a lot of money selling and gaining revenue in Saudi Arabia. So it sort of is, but EV is still in early stages here.
What about charging stations?
Oh, they are spreading. Like it's not a problem to own an EV in Riyadh, the capital city. It's definitely not a problem. Traveling is a bit definitely a problem. Like in cities, because the closest city you have like 400 kilometers away. The car can't travel that much, but I don't know. Not all EVs are equal. Now we are we are saying what Peter used to say. Exactly, Lucid is definitely is a king in range in that term. It's not a problem to travel with a Lucid. So there is no fear, definitely, that the anxiety problem doesn't exist with Lucid.
And I've seen you post a lot about Tesla. So Tesla's obviously kind of entering that market. Do you think that's going to, like, the average, I think everyone, just general mentality of Saudi is like everyone's rich, which might be true. Do you think that Tesla is going to potentially take some business away from Lucid based on the price point of their vehicles, or do you think that it's completely separate targets?
So I have said before that Tesla in Gulf countries, like in UAE, let's say Dubai, because they exist there before coming here, they are treated as a luxury vehicles, right? And Lucid is a luxury vehicle, definitely. But now people sitting and trying the vehicle, they will see the difference in material and quality. So, but to those who are familiar with EVs, they will see Tesla as a luxury vehicle. So I don't know how that will work out for Lucid, but definitely will create a competition, fair competition or unfair, I don't know. But I am worried, to be honest. I was in the EV event 2 days ago, and lots of people are just trying to get into and try the Tesla. The few people are at the Lucid booth.
Is that because it's new? Just like a new toy to the general area? Because I don't think Tesla was there prior, right?
No, they just introduce themselves, or or started operation basically in April 10. They are pretty new.
So maybe that's why it was getting attention, is just the new shiny toy.
They are planning to sell Model 3, which is the cheapest, Model Y, and the Cybertruck later, end of this year maybe, or next year.
And why do you think that there hasn't been some sort of partnership between Seer and Lucid? Are they really trying to keep them completely separate that bad?
I don't know. That was a shocker for me. I couldn't really find out why. I always thought that there will be some sort of cooperation because it seems that way, at least from the way that the whole industrial strategy for automotive. There might be something in the future with the midsize, but I am 100% sure that they considered every possible way to do that. They might do it in the future. It's not a closed door. There possibilities still exist. Maybe Lucid rejected the offer. You don't know. Maybe Seer, but still Seer, they do not produce anything, so they don't have anything to present. They can present only hopes and maybe we will do that.
I was actually thinking recently, and a good potential partner, here I'll pull up the market cap, is Polestar. They have global infrastructure. Their market cap is 2.24 billion, and technically, like, that's one payment that usually the PIF gives Lucid for financing. So if you think about it, like, a good strategic partner would be Polestar, because then that way Lucid could gain some kind of exposure, good exposure to Europe, have the ability to instantly ramp up. Polestar will get the benefit of Lucid's technology. Polestar also in China. Polestar was starting to get some traction in the States. Obviously, I don't think that really worked out too well, but that's where Lucid could benefit. So maybe I think in the next 2 years, there's going to be a lot of failed EVs and a lot of consolidation. And I think Lucid needs to really think about potentials, even though I'm not really that big of a fan of Polestar, but I think it would make, with 𝗖𝗎𝗓, like, it would make sense.
Yeah, I understand your point. So during, like, usually in recessions or in low economical situations like what we live in now, usually big companies just acquire other companies, failing companies, if you may call it.
Yeah.
Which happens all the time. But first, maybe the PIF has a reputation to keep up with globally. They don't just go and buy stuff from other countries like this without having a vision about it. So already Lucid is costing a lot of money. It's like consuming a lot of their money. But I don't know. Polestar is a good company, but they are stuck between Volvo and Geely. Geely now is owning most of it, I think. I follow it in my map that you share sometimes.
Yeah.
Just in case something significant happened. But they actually they are facing problems always with financials. They're still not profitable. Even they come from a legacy company like Volvo, and they have Geely, which is a giant in manufacturing. Like, I've seen how Geely and Volvo, integration or buying Geely buying and Volvo, how does that yield positively to Geely? Like, they have improved their product significantly. They start producing beautiful products, high quality, right? I can see it here in the market. But I don't see that happening with Volvo. I don't know why. Like, not Geely benefiting from Volvo that much. Sorry, from Polestar that much.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So I don't know. There's a reason why, of course. There's a reason, but I don't see it as a potential buy for Geely. Sorry, for the PIF right now, or Lucid themselves. But it's a good opportunity to, if they see, like, Lucid have their own products. They develop it in-house, as they said. They have their own nice, very good, nice designs. So I don't see why they need Polestar to access the market. That is something, far-fetched.
I guess it's just the global reach, right? Because it's Polestar and Tesla. They're the only two pure global EV plays, and I guess just buying them out is like kind of a cheat code for the most part. But no, I get your point. It is different, completely different business models, and
Yeah, they are involved in many people now, so it's a headache. They just it's a headache. Like one of the companies, one of the Chinese company that signed an MOU to come to Saudi Arabia, they actually they become bankrupt and they are not continuing the hi-fi, I think they called. So even with Chinese company, they sometimes go bankrupt. Polestar might announce their bankruptcy at any day, in my opinion. So they might do.
yeah,
I'm not.
I think their 𝗪𝗓𝗧𝗛 score, I'll find that, which does signal bankruptcy, I think is negative. Yeah, Altman. Oh, okay, they removed it. I believe it was negative, so that meant that bankruptcy was going to be forecasted in the next 12 months.
Maybe Geely will come and be.
Well, they'd have to, yeah. Yeah, Polestar is another one of those ones that I liked what they were kind of doing, but just dealing with like Lucid, one manipulated stock is enough for me. Like Polestar's, and then Neo, but like there's just a lot of craziness. But
Neo, I am interested in Neo, not because of their designs, but I feel they have potential. Their management are acting in a good way. They are managing the company in a very good way, to be honest. They are bold in their movement and they are taking actions when needed, even before investors see it. So just the opposite of Lucid, I would say. If they can swap some management from there, they will do a better job.
Okay, I think that's it for me. Everyone, make sure I put it in the chat again. Pop over to Twitter, SaudiBay. A lot of good information. Even right over here, he has actually right at the top, his website. Pop over there. A lot of good information. Whether Lucid, Neo, whatever, definitely go over there and follow. Recommend it. SaudiBay, thank you very much for kind of coming on, and sorry that we had some technical issues first thing.
It is my pleasure to pop in these kind of events. It was significant.
Hopefully next one will be better as well. But everyone, thanks for joining. Let's hats off to a good day tomorrow, hopefully, and hopefully analysts saw some optimism and give some pretty good ratings. We'll just have to wait and find out. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Bye-bye.